And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Again, breaking news. Hamilton and Leclerc disqualified now from the US Grand Prix. We did an update about an hour ago, Ben, saying they were essentially under investigation, but they were found to have failed a post-race technical check on the planks underneath their cars. That's from the FIA. This is on Twitter. Let's see if Planet F1 has a bit more news. Breaking, it says Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc's cars have failed a post-race scrutineering check at the United States Grand Prix. Now, both cars have been referred before the stewards at the Circuit of the Americas, having failed a post-race technical check. Hamilton, who finished in second place, and he actually challenged for the win. I mean, Toto Wolff has even come out and said we had a car to win the race today, and I think potentially they kind of scuppered with that strategy. So they did indeed have a car that could have won. Well, not only that, but we know he who finishes second, it does not finish, well, he finished last now, he's been disqualified, as well as Charles Leclerc, who claimed sixth place for Ferrari. They are basically out of the Grand Prix. It doesn't have much news here. I mean, Twitter is currently ablaze with interesting thing. I don't know if you can see this. It's going to be a bit blurry. This is, I think, Lee McKenzie. I don't know if I can zoom in now. No, okay, it says the 2023 United States Grand Prix, 20th to the 22nd of October, from the FIA technical delegate to the stewards, a physical floor and a plank inspection was carried out on cars number 16 and 44. The skids located in, it mentions obviously the areas, are found to not be in compliance with Article 3.5.9 of the 2023 technical regulations, and I'm referring this matter to the stewards for their consideration. That's Joe Bauer there, basically the Charlie Whiting. So, I mean, it's almost, look, underneath there, 197 career podiums record. Yeah, not happening now. I mean, Leclerc also failed. What does that mean? Well, I tell you what, as I mentioned in the previous episode, Sergio Perez can now breathe a sigh of relief in a way, because Hamilton had closed in on him with 19 points. But another thing, I think, congratulations to Logan Sargent, who is now officially an F1 point scorer. As you can see, this breaking news from Crofty: Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc disqualified from the US Grand Prix for excessive wear on the skid pads. Other competitors move up the classification, and Alex Albon, obviously, as well, for the first time in F1. So, I mean, let's see here. Is there anything here? Both cars, no, there's no breaking there. Hamilton and Charles Leclerc disqualified from the US Grand Prix for prank rules breach. That's on motorsport.com, because their planks were excessively worn down. And this is obviously this upgraded Mercedes floor. Is that to blame? Well, George Russell obviously did not disqualify, so I don't think it is. But it says Leclerc was hamstrung by being the only finisher to undertake a one-stop strategy across the 56 laps, which left him vulnerable. However, random post-race floor checks were completed on the cars of Hamilton, Leclerc and Verstappen, and fourth place Norris. The former two were found non-compliant. Accordingly, Hamilton and Leclerc have been disqualified. An FIA bulletin read, during the hearing, the teams acknowledged that the measurement performed by the FIA technical team was correct, and stated that the high wear on the skid pads was probably a result of the unique combination of the bumpy track and the sprint race schedule that minimised the time to set up and check the car before the race. Now, the stewards note that the onus is on the competitor to ensure that the car is in compliance with the regulations at all times during an event. In this particular case, the rear skid in the area defined in the technical delegate's report was outside of the thresholds, which includes a tolerance for wear. And it says, therefore, the standard penalty for a breach of technical regulations is imposed. And the article, as we mentioned, was 3.5.9e of the 2023 Formula 1 technical regulations. This reads, the thickness of the plank assembly measured normal to the lower surface, it must be 10 millimeters, minus or plus 0.2 millimeters, and must be uniform when new. And a minimum of 9 millimeters will be accepted due to wear, and conformity to this provision, it will be checked at the peripheries of the designated holes, obviously. marks for a certain measurement. What is an F1 plank? Well, the plank does not itself restrict airflow under the car. It's used as a gauge, as you can see here in this picture, which restricts the minimum ride height attainable by the car. The closer the car is to the ground, as we probably know in this new kind of ground effect era, especially all that porpoising from 2022, the closer the car is to the ground, the more efficient the front wing and rear diffuser are. The higher the downforce levels, the faster a driver can go in a corner. And there is it gonna, oh no, that's just Wikipedia. Can we get that photo? Yeah, as you can see here, that big piece of wood, that is essentially the plank. I'm assuming when you look at some of the nail markings, not nail, but some of the holes there, they're also used for measurements. And clearly Leclerc and Hamilton's have failed, and it may well be a result of the sprint race not being set up the Mercedes' new floor. But interestingly, George Russell wasn't. Is that why Hamilton was slightly faster than George Russell? Maybe. Did he have a better setup? Possibly. But we also know Hamilton goes gangbusters there. He goes really, really well. Live F1 news, yeah. I mean, I'm really, really shocked. It was a really interesting race. I was initially going to come on here to talk about how awesome the race was. You know, man of the race, Lando Norris. I was going to suggest perhaps not initially because he just let Verstappen through, didn't he? But I mean, man of the race also, Max Verstappen started 6th, and he did not have it all his way, and he still had that brake issue, and he won. Fair play to him. Hamilton nearly hunted him down. But you imagine the hoo-ha now if Hamilton had actually won and got this taken away. So maybe it's a good thing that Hamilton didn't actually win. Formula One's, I imagine Formula One's trending now. Yeah, Hamilton and Leclerc disqualified. New document infringement. Is this? Yeah, here's one of the documents here. The stewards, having received a report from the race director, have considered the matter and determined the following. This is for Lewis Hamilton. Document 64, date 22nd of October, time 19:16, 7:16. So at the time of recording, this is just over, between 20 minutes and half an hour ago. It goes. The time they reviewed it was 17:28, session race. Fact, I like that, it's got fact. The rear skid in the area defined in the technical delegate's report was outside the threshold, and it mentioned the article we just talked about. In the infringement, again, it's mentioning the article. Decision, car 44 is disqualified from the race, and that's article 12.4.1m of the FIA International Sporting Code. The other competitors move up in classification. Reason, the stewards heard from the team representatives of car 44, the technical delegate, the FIA single-seater director and the FIA single-seater technical director. Now, during the hearing, the team acknowledged that the measurement performed, as we mentioned already, by the FIA technical team was correct, and stated that the high wear in the skid pad was probably a result of, as we know, bumpy track and sprint race. The stewards note, as is, it's the onus is on the competitor, and it concludes with, competitors are reminded that they have the right to appeal certain decisions of stewards in accordance with Article 15 of the FIA Sporting Code. In Chapter 4, it sounds like law. We're just reading British, American, whatever law, doesn't it? Doctorates or certain legal acts, but Chapter 4 of the FIA Judicial and Disciplinary Rules within the applicable time limits. Now, the decisions of the stewards are taken independently of the FIA and are based solely on the relevant regulations, guidelines, and evidence presented. So, how much then does that change? I mean, if we go to Formula1.com, it still has, it hasn't quite updated yet. It still has, obviously, Max Verstappen winning. But basically, with Hamilton gone, Norris is third, Norris is second, Sainz is third, Perez is fourth, and he basically scores 12 more points than Hamilton, so that's really good for him. Leclerc is going to be fifth, Russell is going to be sixth, and Gasly ninth, Stroll 10th, getting 2 more points. Getting, up to 4 points. And let's be fair, Lance Stroll has had a torrid time. I think this is his first points he's going to have since the summer break. And he's done really well, hasn't he? He's not done too bad. Bearing in mind, he started from the pit lane, and I'd make an argument with everything going on. Potentially, he's driver of the race compared to Lando Norris, who also, don't get me wrong, Lando did an amazing job. Now, Sonoda, they're not. I take it back. It's 2 places, isn't it? Yeah, so Norris is going to be second, Sainz is going to be third, Perez is going to be 4th, and Leclerc's out. So Russell is actually going to be 5th. Sorry about that. Gasly is going to be 6th. Lance Stroll is going to be 7th. Tsunoda 8th. Albon 9th, and most importantly there, Logan Sargent at his home race. It's such a shame you couldn't celebrate it though. It's going to finish 10th, scoring his first World Championship point. Well done, Logan Sargent. And what a race he had, finishing what? Just over a second behind Alex Albon. I mean, the two people, you could argue, 3 people were really under pressure coming into this race. I think Perez, Sargent, and obviously Stroll. And they've all, Perez average, let's be honest. He's not been that impressive. But the other two, Stroll and Sargent, have been really, really impressive. Even Tsunoda scored points, and poor old Ricciardo. I do think, though, they gave him kind of like a bum strategy, really. And sadly, obviously, Alonso retiring, Piastri retiring, and so did Esteban Ocon. So the big losers, I think, obviously, Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc of the day, but we'll have to get into that probably, well, tomorrow or later on today, depending what time you are listening to this. I'm just seeing if there going to be any more breaking news. I imagine Mercedes are going to comment on it, but there's nothing they can do. It's a fact. Their planks do not meet the rules. Ergo, they're going to be disqualified from the race. In a way, I'm kind of glad Verstappen's was also measured with all the controversy over the years, around the Red Bull and their floor and doing things, and that they ended up being okay. I just feel so sorry for Lewis, because it would not have been his fault. It would be the fault of the engineers. And after, I think, an absolutely epic race and nearly winning the race in spite of his team's, in the end, rubbish strategy. Let's be fair. He did really well, but poor old Hamilton and Leclerc disqualified from the United States Grand Prix. This has been the Hot Lap. We will speak to you. We'll probably do some kind of race review. We'll have our winners and losers, and of course we will be doing our tier list for the race as well in the coming week. And hey, we've got a Grand Prix next weekend as well, Mexico. Then after that, it's Brazil. Good times. Speak to you soon. If you can subscribe, that'd be amazing. Just watching this is going to be more than enough. Thank you very much.